So this is what I got in mind here. This will have some travel room between here anyways, so I can kind of put it in quite a bit difference here. And I still gotta work, it's not welded on the one side yet, so I'd like the shaft to come in and out nice and easily. And this is a little bit of a flaw because you have to pull the shaft out to put a new belt on. You probably just have to pull it out of this bearing and then slip the belt over and then come around. The motor will be liftable with nuts and bolts, but looks pretty good for height and all that stuff. It is a little bit harder to lift, obviously with the motor on it, makes it a little heavier, but I don't think it's going to be too bad for lifting really, because yeah, I can kind of move the cable, the lifting cable around to wherever I find it to be best. And yeah, I can have it either way. I could have the pulleys down here and then it goes to the winch, or I could have the pulleys up top and, you know, have so that would be like my one tie-in spot there, and the pulley will go up and over and down, another wheel there over to the winch part, or back up again and then over, whichever I decide I need. Yeah, starting to come along. And then from the last video, the blades I'm going to need for this are pretty much going to be in the 144 inch by 1.25 inches, which is a pretty standard blade from what I've seen, so that's good. I do have a lot of room for adjustment in there, probably a lot more than usual. I'm still not sure if that tightening device here, this, will be good enough for my needs. Still waiting for tires. They should be here in about 10 days or so. But I got lots of other stuff to do before then. But I would like to get this thing to roll the blade nice, which is almost impossible without the tires, because you get one piece of the blade on this, and then if it's not on there, then it automatically kicks off. And I kind of want the blade running on the tires, not on the metal. So yeah, a couple things. I still need to weld that pulley together, the assembly. Quite a bit of stuff to do still. Everything's got to be welded. It's just tacked right now. And I'm still not 100% sure if that's going to be a big enough drive wheel. Most people's blades are in the 18-inch plus range, and they go right around, like the belt rides inside the blade, and that's actually the tire for the blade, is the drive belt. And then they have the drive motor in here somewhere, which I don't really want that, because then you lose so much clearance for your log. So over here would be the best option for me. And I could put a tensioner in here somewhere just to give it so it kind of wraps around this a bit more instead of only riding on about that much, because it'll go like that, right? Or if I put a tensioner in, then it will ride from here and then come out a bit. We'll see. I still got a lot of testing to do on this. And I need a bolt for here, because this one doesn't have keyways on it like the other, like that one there. And yeah, still a lot to do. Lots and lots to do. Yeah, it's pretty hard to get this thing to be perfectly square without all the equipment. I'm almost thinking I might make this adjustable somehow. Well, I could always shim the bolts on there, on the bearings. Shim or whatever. Whatever it needs. But yeah. Still have quite a bit to do. I did put a shim in there for now. I just used some tin foil just to get me a little bit closer. Lots to do. This side I'm pretty happy with so far. This side's a little trickier. And I'm pretty happy with the motor positioning. I think that'll be okay. It's not going to be too much. It's only, what, 6 inches, so I'll have to come, 8 inches off the top. Which isn't bad either. It's, I'm automatically going to get 2 inches for the 2-inch tube that I put across here. And I'll have to just go up another 6 or 7 inches with my 1-inch bar. And that'll be okay. And my exhaust, I might even use that exhaust that's on that 4-wheeler and just come right across here with it. And it will blow the exhaust the same way the wood shavings are going, or wood dust, sawdust. It is going to spin counterclockwise when you're looking at it, because the blade will go like this, and then the teeth will be cutting that way, which is counterclockwise. And I'm also going to need a water tank and a gas tank, which will kind of offset the balance a bit too, which I don't have on there yet, so it kind of makes it a little more difficult to lift, but it does lift. It's just heavier now. Still not even close to, I can still lift it, so it's not above 100 pounds or nothing like that. And my winch is rated for 600 pounds. Yeah, we'll see. Lots and lots to do. Sucks I'm running out of time, and I gotta go do other stuff here shortly too. I won't get too many full days working on this. And honestly, this beautiful day out today, almost thinking I want to paint this. Well, it's a nice day. I can wire wheel it and paint it and let her just bake in the sun for a few hours. That would really protect it for the next rain that we get. But it does seem like we're gonna have a pretty good day of weather. Well, I figure I better not miss out on this sunny day. I'm getting this stuff painted. Just using a paintbrush. But good paint. It'll protect it a little longer from sitting. I'm not quite finished. I still gotta put some sockets on there. Bunch of little stuff, but I can just grind it off and paint it after again. Not a huge deal. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to her. Thanks. That's done. Definitely got a lot more out of it than I was expecting. Didn't really use anything out of the can. I'll give it a couple coats. Might as well. Seems to be a lot there. You gotta paint that thing, but I think this is much bigger material than that. Yeah. That's good. Thanks. Well, I think I got her. She's pretty square. And there's some adjustment in the bearings as well. So, I'm hoping it'll be good enough. So, finally got these guys in. My tires for my belts. Came with the nice installation tool. These are the guys I got it from. It's actually made for that bandsaw, which that's where the wheels came from. So, got one on already. Got to come up with some ideas for the spacers in here, even just if it's just for testing. I was thinking I'm just gonna try the copper pipe. And then I can get it nice and small. And if I have to drill it out a bit, I can. And yeah. This was the main part I needed here because I couldn't get the blades to sit on this lips because there's like an indented lip here. You see that? It's very hard to get the blade to sit on this without finding one of these edges and then just jumping off. So the tires will let me see if it's proper. But I did see that the proper way to do this is to put like a straight edge across from this edge to this edge to this edge to this edge. So, and I do need to, like, this has some wiggle in it even without this back part moving here. Like, see, you need the shims in there to get this to not to wiggle, and that does actually affect the blade. So once I get some spacers, I just gotta figure out how close I need them. Like, they're gonna be very, very small spacers, probably like 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, and I need one more for up here. Then that will pull that tight, and then I can make the final adjustments with the adjusting bolts. And that one's fixed, so wherever that one is where that one is. I'm still debating moving it up. It's a little bit short, or it's a little bit low. So it looks like it needs to come up about 1/4 of an inch. Which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, if you're using a full-size piece in here, any size piece, once you make your first cut, it will be 1/4 of an inch. Well, over this whole distance, it'll be 1/4 of an inch on one end higher than this end from the cut. So that's not acceptable. I don't want to have unsquare cuts every single cut. And I could shim up the log, or I could do crazy stuff, you know. And actually I can lift the bearings up just from these holes. But I don't want it to be too much play in there. I don't want it to sink down over time. But honestly, this blade, or the drive belt there, it's gonna always be pulling up because of the motor tension. The way it spins, it'll pull that wheel up. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I do want to be as easy as possible to do. So, but I'm gonna get these tires on, and we'll do a spin of this belt. I've already had the blade on nice and tight. It does tighten up great with this. set up. So, and I am gonna have some idler wheels in there and all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll keep you guys in the loop here. Thanks. So, got it pretty tight. You can see that it is just a touch off. You see it, this one over here, it's like right at the top. This one over here is just down a little bit. What a kick in the nuts. But I don't have anything tightened up, or it's still wiggly. There's no stoppers in anything here. Like all this isn't even on yet, but I don't have, this can still slide in and out, but it's probably not even close to as tight as it needs to be. But she does track not bad. I kind of got my hand in the way here. And this is the way it needs to spin, so. Just kind of. You can still see it kind of wiggles a little bit. And it's going to be spinning a heck of a lot faster than this. We're starting to pull out on that side there a bit. But, like, I don't want the teeth to be riding on the steel, because it can, or the aluminum, because it can offset the set of the teeth. Back. It is still wiggling on that side a bit. Now, also it does look like the shaft is kind of pulling out the more I do this, which is going to make that back, or the blade, come off the back side of the wheel. So I actually need to close this gap a bit. You can see that this side is a little bigger than this side here. So I need to, you can't do it under pressure. So I gotta let the tension off on the blade and then move that in. There's stoppers that come with the bearings, and this will have its own keyway stopper on it, or a set screw stopper. But the bearings all come with stoppers. Plus I got some of these guys too. These are just stoppers. And like I said, the keyways, the square keyways aren't in anything yet. I'm just kind of spinning it, but it's not too bad. And I can make shim plates for the bearings, like I do have this one. Have a little shim in there already. And yeah, but pretty much think I'm gonna cut that part again. And what I'll do is measure. This line here is the center line. So what I'm gonna do is measure up 1/4 inch and then have this line move up to 1/4 inch, and then that'll fix this height issue, which will square the cut up a little better than what it would be. Like, you probably wouldn't really notice it on a 8-inch log or a 6-inch log, but on a 20-inch log you're gonna notice it for sure. Anything bigger than 10-inch, you're really gonna notice it. So, anyways, getting there. This is the hardest part for me right here, is getting everything lined up square. So these have to go vertically, they gotta be square. This way, they gotta be square. This thing has to be square, and I really don't have any points to measure from because this is a little bit further than this. And yeah, it's kind of a nightmare, to tell you the truth. And then you gotta have these so they're not tilted or tilted this way. They're up and down tilted, or the bearing, the shaft won't slide in and out if there's any tilt in there. But as of now, I do like spinning this thing. And I think the more that I turn it, it is working that side out. What happens if I spin it backwards? It's going the wrong way now. Oh, I go this way. This is the opposite way it's going to spin. But yeah, you can see that side starting to pull off now. Either way, I got to get this all set up in there a little better. Let's get this guy back on here. See, it is coming back on. Oh, I can't wait. Chop some wood with this thing. So the reasoning with this as well is I'm gonna put a guard on here. So just maybe a piece of angle, or I was gonna do flat bar, but I think that'll be a little too close to the ride height there if I just put flat bar on. I think you can see we are past the blade, but a very little bit past. I don't want the blade to be rubbing on the top, or down here it's almost a little better. You know, if I could lower this one, I can. It's just, you know, a lot more tax on this side. And it is already at the bottom down there. I don't want to go any lower than that. So, yeah, lots to work out still. But pretty cool. Just coming along. Wish it didn't take so long for these wheels to get here. The blade is dirty. Buddy's got a couple more of these blades for me. Yeah, just working it out. Thanks, guys. So I have it tracking really nice. I've used this flat bar and then put it across all 4 edges and got them really nice and like flat to each other, from here to here to here to there to the next one. So here's spin it pretty quick like this now too. She's staying right in place. I do gotta still get a better shim for that wheel, and it's tight too. There's a mark on how tight you can put it here. And I'm not really sure where I guess it's just this. So It's about a 3/4 inch blade is where it's saying it's set for. Where I'm probably going to have to crank this all the way to the end and put some real pressure on it. Still pretty far. It's not hard to turn by any means. I just don't know how far you can go. It's tracking off a bit now. I think it pulled it a bit too hard. But I'll fix that just by turning that in a little bit. Tracking it a bit. This is the way it will spin as well. Cutting towards me on the bottom. Nice guys. So I got it. I'm happy with the height of it, of the blade across the whole thing. Is perfect. There is going to be an idler wheel here, so we'll keep this under control. I'll probably actually have it so it goes up a bit. I do have the blade the tightest I've had it so far, just because I want to see how nice it is across there, and I can live with that. It's actually perfect. And I'll just get some 2-inch angle or 1.5 angle, some of the thinnest I can find, and weld it on like this, so it comes over that way, and that will be the guide or the safety across the front. May even get a piece of metal bent, and I'll stretch it out, and then I can it'll match the rest of the covers. I do have covers for that side, and I have an outer cover for this side, and they're nice and tight and small. It'd be nice to actually have them in there, but that'll be after I even test drive it. So as it sits right now, it'll cut square on the track. But I can't spin it by hand even right now. It'll jump right off the track. Yeah. And it's actually perfect, the bearings right now. So like it's really smooth going in and out as well. The shaft. So I want to maintain that as well. Like everything has to be perfect for this to work. Perfect. And this is the only problem I'm having here, is this thing trying to get it perfect. So in theory, the back end of the shaft has to come in a bit. And I think while I have it apart, I'll put the wheels or the straight edge across the wheels. But you can't do it with the blade on, which sucks as well. Also would like to close this gap and have it a perfect gap right across here. It's not very much off, but it is a little bit off. Let's see, we're at 1 inch and 5/16. And here we're at under an inch. 7/8 or so. So we're quite a bit off, 3/8 of an inch off. So much to do on just this little section here. Actually, it's just these two. Getting these two perfect with everything else is the trick here. But I'm getting it. Just gonna take a little bit more off this side, twist them in a bit. I may even have to cut these two tacks to keep this bearing going that way. So I'll probably throw another tack down here so this can tilt, because that's gonna have to come in with it. It's tricky, this part, but once I get it, it won't be coming apart again. And the rest of it's pretty straightforward, really. Once I get this part figured out here properly, I just gotta put the plate on there, put the motor on, get this drive wheel welded and put that on, and I can center that up pretty easy and mark the holes for the motor. And I can put the motor mount on, get a belt that is corresponding with what I need here for size. I've got a bunch of belts kicking around. I might even have one that works for this application. And yeah, idler wheels. Got to do some kind of adjustment thing for here. I guess I'm not going to put it behind there. I'm going to put it under here. This will be for the guide wheels. I'm going to have an adjustable guide bar on this side. That side will just be stationary, so I can weld it right to this 2.5 inch here. And it'll just come out and have an angle. And then I'll be able to, I guess, have a bolt with some bearings on it. I'll make that, I guess, adjustable, just like from the, what do you call it there? No, I think I got it. So nice and square and level, and nothing's tilted or twisted or leaning. Everything's good. It goes in and out very, very easily. I just put so many spots on the thing from tightening up these set screws here everywhere. I have to get a file out. I don't really need to, I guess. That's gonna go somewhere around there. And I do gotta make this bigger. This freaking thing on the end here must be a metric wheel. Definitely not the same size as 3/4. And yeah, I could just run a few beads, pad it up, and then take it to my buddy with a lathe and get him to measure the inside of that. That would probably be my best bet. And like I say, I do have two of them, because one would be, this will be cut off about here. So I'll probably have, yeah, 2 and a bit. Yeah. Might try a shim first. If I can get a nice brass shim to fit in here, I may do that. Gotta measure it with a mic and make sure it is proper. See where I'm at. I'm not even sure how it all looks for level and everything this way. Probably not perfect. Not too bad. This end on this one might be a little higher, or this end might be a little lower. But the main thing is, all this part is good. And with the wheel on, it's perfect. At this distance for the blade is even. Like, it'd be even here. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to do on this, just this one section. Been on this for a couple weeks part-time here. On the height, it's still at perfect height. The blade is exactly the same height, so once you get one starting point that's fixed, the rest of it is better, but it is kind of a pain in the ass, so you gotta keep building it and taking it apart and tightening it and making sure it's proper, because even with it loose, the bow and the blade is so far off that you can't tell what's what anyway, so you have to tighten it. Takes a good minute to tighten it up anyways. But I think I got it. I'm not going to do any more cutting on this. The way it is the way it is. I'll mess with the bearings to get them perfect if there is a problem. It's actually pretty straightforward as long as you get it up and down level with everything, or up and down level with the other wheel. But if it's twisted a little bit this way or this way, that wheel over there compensates because it is actually twistable. It might just ride a little different. But if you look at the band wheels on the aluminum, it's actually machined on a radius, so it really only hits on the middle of the blade here. You know what I mean? That's where it rides, right on the middle, because the actual aluminum is machined like that, which is good. It gives me extra room to be on one of the angles and still go straight. If it was perfectly straight, it would be riding crooked, and you'd only get wear on one side instead of it wearing flat, where because it's rounded, you can ride it on any of this angle really, but you don't want to do that. You want to try and keep it as true as possible, and it's turning out pretty good. Now I can't say when I'll be cutting, but it's only tacked. I still got all this rest of it to do, the hoist and the cabling, the gears. The motor won't take too long. It shouldn't take too long. Got some 5/16 threaded rod left over from another project that I'll use, and I'm just going to get some more nuts. I actually have nuts in this package of bolts here, wherever they are. Not sure if I have 4. I need 16 nuts for this. And the very top one and the very bottom one, I might get nylocks for them, just to make it so they're self-locking. I'm sure there will be some vibration on this, so try and avoid stuff backing out by itself. Or I'll use Loctite. But we're not there yet anyways. We're still got a ways to go. But we're getting closer. I also cut this apart and straightened it nicely. I think I'll just make it a little easier when it comes time to putting something from here over to here. I want this, and this to touch without interfering with these bolts. And then I'll also probably do another one, maybe if I can get away with it, diagonal. I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, I can. This will be cut off here. So I'll go diagonal from this one down to this corner, and then another one from this corner up to here as well, just to make this extra secure. And I do have a plate to go on here. And yeah, getting there. Actually, I'm gonna take all this stuff off now. That's all stationary. Yep. And I got this plate that's gonna go on here. And then it's a little bit wonky, I guess. But the nuts and bolts that hold it all on. I also gotta cut this probably down here. And yeah, and then put a nut, actually 2 nuts, and the motor, and then another nut, and then another nut underneath. So yeah, 4 each. Yeah, getting there. Thanks, guys. Well, I got the top ones done. I got this motor side started, tacked here, plate on the side. I got this one in. I think all I really got to do, this is going to be pulling on this to try and close this gap here, so I think that'll hold it good enough. I do want to do something from this corner to here, up to this top one here, from here down to here. That will really stiffen this up for any vibrations. Probably could get away with just one from here to here, and then maybe one from there to there or something. Yeah, go along with it up from here to here. That's not going to make much difference, but getting there. She's getting stronger, that's for sure, and heavier. I want to try and avoid making it extremely heavy, but still have it strong. Yeah. And then I can drill the holes in this after I mark it where the motor's going to sit. And cut some threaded rod. I can weld this thing here eventually. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet. Might just put one of these angles across and then clamp it on both sides. Try and get the clamp even. We'll see. Yeah. Be nice to have a TIG machine for this kind of stuff. It's very fine welding. Where this just isn't. It's not hot enough and it's not fine enough. You have to make such a big bead to get enough heat into the weld. Yeah, we'll see. Most places I'm sure it is just MIG welded. Production welding. Pretty much welded as quick as you can. And yeah, so I'm ready for the motor. Almost ready to weld this thing. I think I'm gonna weld it before I start adding on like gas tanks and water tanks and stuff like that, kind of mounts. And I would like to get it welded before I actually fit the motor on it, so I know it's not going to come apart if something drops or something, or yeah. We're getting there pretty good so far. And I can also, I'm going to make some top bars that come up and then over, so some C's or some U's, whatever you want to call them. Upside down U's. Make 2 of them the same, one for each side. And yeah. Now this is also, this top right here, this is what holds the track from coming apart. These bars, this here, that's not going to stay there. So the only thing holding it down here will be this mount here. So when it's at the top, the bottom might want to open or close. I guess the track will hold it as well, but yeah. I was almost thinking about doing a double. So when I come up and over that way, I also want to come up in this way as well. That will give it like an A kind of, or whatever. Like a box top which will hold the bottom from opening and closing, because it's got, you know what I mean. Not sure what I'm going to do there yet. And I also will have quite a bit of room on this side here that I could do some kind of support in here to make this a little sturdier. I don't know. I probably could get away with a small one in there as well, but I don't think it'll be as big. Maybe just a corner. And this one could go pretty much right from this corner up to the top, because there really won't be anything in the way over here. And I'm only going to have one tie for the strap, or for the cable. So the cable will probably go a tension spot. So this with like a screw through it with a couple bolts and an eye hook on it where the cable can go through. And then the pulley will go up here and over and then down to this spot here. And there'll be a small pulley. And then I can go across to this side and then to the winch. Or I can go down and back up again, and then over, down, and then to the winch. It's not 100% on what I want to do with that part yet. Let me try it both ways to see which lifts a little easier. I do know this is going to be a little off balance. Like it may want to, well, whatever. It may want to tip one way or the other. Depends how much stuff I got to put on here. So now I can't put anything between here, because this bar, those two bars will go between these bars here when it goes up. And then also the motor has to be up above this on its top cut. So yeah. Anyways, thanks guys.